All right, everyone, Ivana Taylor here, and welcome to a DIY Marketers Read It and Reap, a cool little hangout where I hang out with authors who have published some of the best marketing books on the planet. And the really great thing is you haven't always heard about them. These are our long-tailed best business books. So I'm here with David Bryant Mitchell, not to be confused with author of Cloud Atlas Mitchell, but the author of, David, tell us again, Booming Business, say it again.
Building Your Booming Business.
Building Your Booming Business. So David, tell us a little bit about yourself and why we should read this book.
Well, let's start with kind of my background and how I approach it. So I got my Master's in Business Association at Texas Tech University. Go Red Raiders, right? So, and then I spent the next 10 years working with medical facilities, hospitals, clinics, long-term care, in an administrative role. After about 10 years of that, I launched my consulting business. And in doing my consulting business, excuse me just a minute, having some technical difficulties.
Oh, you're looking really good here.
Oh, well, thanks. I appreciate that. So, as I was, so I started my consulting business, and real quickly, initially I was only focused on medical providers, but I realized as I was marketing myself that the principles that I was teaching doctors' practices and hospitals were the same exact principles that a locksmith or an internet marketer or anybody else really needed to have in their toolbox. And so with that, I was able to I'm getting a lot of feedback here. Give me just a minute. I'm sorry.
Are you getting an echo?
No, what I'm getting is I have a power issue, so if I cut out, please forgive me. We'll take it. Maybe I could do an audio only. Okay, I think I got it fixed. Yay. So I realized that the principles that we're going to edit that out later, right? I mean, that's.
Oh yeah, sure.
So as I was working with the doctors, I realized that the principles that I was teaching were the same exact principles that anybody could use. And so I started coaching and consulting. And the reason why I started doing consulting is because I hated that moment when I would go in and provide some excellent consulting work, direction for people to take. And then I'd come back after 3 to 6 months, follow up, see how it was going, and it turns out they hadn't done anything, right? Nothing moved. And so what I started folding into it was an implementation, that I would be there to help them implement and really make sure that the suggestions and ideas that I had given them were actually being put into place. So as I started doing this implementation and as I started teaching, and it really kind of grew into more of a leadership coaching program, I realized that I was saying the same thing over and over and over again. And I also realized that I was sending them to an entire library of resources that I wanted them to research and I wanted them to find out about. And so that's why I wrote the book. It's a one-stop shop for the philosophies that I teach. It's a one-stop shop that's really any business can pick up, whether you're using a scalpel or whether you're digging a ditch. It doesn't matter what it is. You can use these principles to really help your business grow.
Okay, so give us a sample, because forgive me for saying so, but you know, I read a lot of business books. I do a lot of book reviews that you can find over on Small Business Trends in the book review section. So I know that I'm probably speaking on behalf of the skeptics in the audience. Give us a sample. I mean, what makes this book any different from any other marketing book? Because this, quite frankly, every author tells me this, what you're telling me.
Well, here, the way that I approach it is, you know, as a business owner, or as a marketer, you're constantly juggling, right? You've got so many balls in the air and you're afraid of one falling. So I want marketers to stop thinking of themselves as jugglers and start thinking of themselves as plate spinners. If you watch the professional plate spinners, they never start with all the plates spinning at the same time, right? They start with one plate and they get it really going well, and then they do one of two things. Either they have a mechanism that they can automate and keep that plate spinning, or they hand it to an assistant to help them out, right? And so I want business owners and marketers to start thinking, look, let's take one aspect of the marketing, let's get it fine-tuned, and then let's launch. And then once we've done that, now we can start the next plate. Because if we're doing all things at the same time, we can't do them well. And so that's one. So
what's the first plate that, let's say someone hasn't read your book or anything like that, so give us an example. What would be one plate that we can sort of look at?
Well, I look at two different types of strategy. So there's a method strategy, and then there's an overall strategy. So the method strategy is the one sales method that we use, and what is the process? So for each business, it's perhaps a little bit different. I think one of the ones that every business needs to start with, and if you don't have it in place, holy cow, you're missing out, and that's just a basic contact manager. If you don't have a contact manager, a way to create a relationship with your customers, I can't tell you how many small businesses and how many marketers I work with that they're running on a spreadsheet.
Right. Or they have a contact manager. It's called their email. It's either like Outlook or Gmail or something like that.
Correct. And they do not have a set way to build a relationship with their clients, and that's the purpose of any method that you use, is that they first have to know who you are. You need to know their contact information, and then you develop a relationship with that individual. And that might be through direct contact, through just giving them a call. It might also be your autoresponder through your email. It could be something like Google Hangouts or YouTube, that you're able to record a video and develop a relationship with them. Whatever that is, you need to create a process and a system that builds that relationship with your customers.
I think this is a point that's, let's stop there for just a moment, right? Because I think that you've hit on something really, really big, which is contact manager, building a relationship with customers. And I think that you are spot on that a lot of business owners make the mistake that they maybe do it only like halfway. Boy, if we're lucky, maybe even 80%. But I think your point is that the book is supposed to bring home is one at a time, do it full out. So are you advocating then that, let's say I have a lot of clients who are like manufacturers, right, where I'm constantly hitting on the pipeline, the pipeline, the pipeline. And how do you move the pipeline when you're in an industrial kind of a technical sale? Truly is through emails and phone calls.
Right.
So what are you doing now? Because you are up there. You are. You're back.
Sorry, I had an incoming call. Challenges of using a phone for Google Hangouts, right?
Hangout. So, but my point is this: I really don't. I think that there is a lot of power in relationship management, and let's talk a little bit about maybe bring out some points from the book if there's a chapter on it or whatever inside of contact management, email, and building relationships. Right? What are some steps that folks should have in place to sort of get that single plate spinning?
Right. Well, I think one of the things they need to do is have a way to collect leads, right? They need to have a way that they're collecting their customer information. So if you have a website, you need to have just a basic form that says, can you hear me okay?
I hear you great.
Okay, great. So if you have a website, you need to have just a basic form that collects potential clients or customers that they're asking for more information. You know, I've got a client right now who is a bakery, right? So she does specifics. She has a storefront, but she also does wedding cakes and special occasion cakes and all these different things. One of the things that we've been working on with her is developing her database and a way to develop that relationship with her customers. So when they come in to buy a cupcake for a snack after work or whatever, then she's starting to collect their emails, starting to collect ways that she can reach out even to the retail individuals that creates a community and develop
So how is she, this is just a great point, how is she, you know, when people come into a retail environment, a lot of my audience is in exactly the situation that she's at, right? They struggle. What are some great tips for gathering those emails, but then staying in touch with them? Because that's what they'll do. They'll gather the email, but then they don't have anything in place to sort of be in communication with that person.
Well, I think they need to understand what is the core message that they want to communicate to their customers, right? So for this particular bakery, she's actually partnering with several not-for-profits in the area and going after kind of the Tom Shoes philosophy, buy one, give one. So one of the things that she's doing is she's partnering with the local food bank to provide kids that wouldn't normally get a birthday cake. And so part of that is sending out notices of who she's giving the birthday cake to, maybe having a picture of the kid. She's also working with some of just the way she's interacting. She's creating a coffee club of individuals that want to be involved and engaged kind of as a philanthropic type of approach. So she's creating this monthly newsletter that goes out that highlights what she's doing outside of just the cake, right? Besides, she's not just selling herself, she's creating a community and really a tribe that wants to keep coming back to her because they want that kid to have that birthday cake every month, right? So those are some of the things that I'm working with her. So really each business needs to find what is the message, what is it that they're going to connect with their customers beyond just the product, beyond just buying my widget. What is it that will resonate with them, that will keep them coming back in a whole nother way?
So maybe this is part of your book too, but how, I love this bakery example, it's so wonderful because I think it's just indicative of so many businesses, right? How is she finding time to do this in addition to running the bakery? Isn't that always the question everybody has?
Well, that's part of it, and really one of the things that I've worked with her on is, number one, her time management, but number two is how does she lead her staff and better utilize them to accomplish some of these things. So for example, one of the things that she has a hard time with is staff calling her constantly, always calling her with questions and things, and she's fairly new, so all of her employees are new and really need direction, but she can't be on site all the time, right? So what I had her do was start developing policies and procedures with her staff to give her the time to be able to address some of these other issues.
So is she the one who's actually doing this marketing?
So that she can do the marketing. So because really she's the figurehead, she's the voice of the business. So one of the things that we did was we created a notebook, just a spiral notebook that goes on the back counter. And when an employee calls with a question, they're expected to write the question down and then write down what her answer is. So it alleviates her from having to be constantly thinking ahead and thinking what the questions are. They're building a policies and procedure manual on the fly, and then each employee at the beginning of the day is supposed to come in and read through that spiral notebook, read the questions that were asked, and so that communication is happening. And it's a simple way to create a policies and procedures manual to train her employees and free her up so her calls are slowly going down. She's not getting them so much. So
that's wonderful.
And the other side of that is actually squaring out the time to do it. Creating an environment where she can just sit down and crank through. So we work through her weekly schedule. On these days, when are you doing your orders? On these days, when are you doing your business development? And squaring that out and having a weekly schedule for her to be able to do that.
Right, so you're not just the marketing guru, you're almost like a business process guru, but one of the things I've heard you say, and you can tell me if this is one of the core elements of this book, is that it's really interesting, as a DIY marketers brand, everyone thinks that we outsource a lot of things still in our business, but in this great example, what you're saying is that if you're a small business owner, you really are the face of your brand, and you need to free up your time to be able to think out your marketing strategy, plan out your marketing strategy, and do the elements that only you can do.
Absolutely. You know, and there's several resources that I give to my clients that they can use to help outsource. You know, I often come back to them and say, well, why isn't your flyer done? They're like, you know what, I spent 4 hours on it and I still don't feel it's good enough. You know, simple tools like Odesk or Elance are great ways to outsource that for very, very inexpensive. I love Fiverr. Fiverr.com is a great place. If you need a flyer design, boy, you know, within a day you've got it done. You gave them the concept and the artwork that you wanted them to do, and you didn't spend the 4 or 5 hours or the 2 o'clock morning to get it done. So, you know, there are ways to get those things done, but really the strategy, being the face, having that customer connection is really the part of the business owner.
Okay, so I got you. So what are some of the other plates, so to speak, that you've got going on in this book that business owners should really pay attention to?
Well, I mean, you know, marketing is one of the most important, and it's the first chapter of the book because nothing happens until somebody sells something, right? I mean, before then it's just a hobby, it's just something that you like to do, but it's not a business until you've sold something. But the other plates that I suggest that they get spinning, really the book is broken down into what I call 5 foundations of business. So marketing and sales is number 1. Leadership and management is number 2. Operations number 3. Finance number 4, and then systems and control is number 5. And that, you know, that's funny is that 5th one is really kind of a misnomer. It's not really a foundation as much as it is the mortar that holds the rest of them together, because it's going to permeate and it's going to connect everything all together. So, and then the final section of the book is personal leadership. So talking about your own integrity, balancing your life, and how you work with your family. Setting personal goals and making sure that you are right so that you
Wow, oh, he's coming back. Yay!
Hey, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Awesome. I figured it was going to be a matter of time before that dropped out. So, okay, so you were talking about these 5 foundational pillars. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just going to have to do audio for right now.
Not a problem. So you were talking about these 5 foundational pillars and how the last thing we heard was that the measuring and tracking, the systems, I guess,
right,
that is the mortar that holds it all together.
Right. So yeah. So then you've got the last section of the book is the personal development. Right. I call it personal leadership. How do you make sure that you are square with your life so that you can be better able to manage and run your business?
Got it. Got it. That's wonderful. So this really is, so you know, the whole thing is boom your business, and the way you're going to boom your business is by following these 5 pillars,
right?
And taking care of all of those things. Who is this book ideal for? Who is really going to get the most out of this book?
So the people that are going to get the most out of this book are going to be business owners or even business leaders, so executives that are trying to figure out what are the hitches, what are the challenges. Most people hit a plateau at some point, right? We get to that point where we've just reached, we just can't seem to break through that ceiling that we can't get through, and that's who this is for. This is for the business owner or the executive who has a team and they're running 16, 12 hours a day trying to figure out how to fit all the pieces together. And that's really what this is for, is to help you put those pieces together, create systems and processes that permeate everything from your marketing all the way through your personal life, and really allow you to be the business owner and not just own your job.
That's so well put. So David, where can people get a hold of this book? Is there some type of like a book description or a sort of, I don't know, free chapter download? What you got going on where people can get more information?
Absolutely. So if you would like the first chapter, you can email me directly or call me. I'm going to give you my cell phone so you can call me and get a free first chapter of the book just to kind of get a feel for it. My phone number is 360-204-9247. Again, 360-204-9247. And my email is dmitchell@boommybusiness.com. Or if they want to just go ahead, there's a short description on the webpage. They can go to buildingyourboomingbusiness.com.
Sure.
And there's a link to order the book directly from there. They can also find it at Amazon.com.
Wonderful. Now what we can do is we'll get all those links out to you inside of this Hangout event page, so you can just click through and see everything you need to see. David, thank you so much for sharing this wonderful, wonderful new book with us. And I'm really looking forward to hearing what some other readers think after you've read it.
Well, great. Well, I look forward to hearing from people and getting them that free chapter.
Perfect, perfect. So yeah, so just put it, if you know, in the event page where we have the Hangout going on, just put the links in there, and you know, anything else any other comments you want to make with instructions, and that way people can just click through there and get right there where they need it.
Sounds great.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Well, thank you for being us, and that was another session of Read It and Reap by DIY Marketers, along with David Bryant Mitchell, talking to us about how to boom your business. Thanks, David.
Thanks.